There's a lot of discussion at this Congress around immunotherapy. There's a lot of discussion around biosimilars and access to medication. Are you dealing with some of those categories when you think about the patient population and access to medication? What are you finding in your work?
We were not focusing because we simply couldn't touch upon so many topics. And in Europe, we have now a long-standing activity which is called the European Network of HTA agencies, which is, of course, one way of addressing the issue. There has recently been a study that had seen a lot of echo, and that is the study of the two professors of health economics at the Karolinska University that were actually exploring exactly that topic. One of the interesting findings was that although the study was co-initiated by the European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries, the real pricing data were not available to them in many cases because the pricing policies vary, because the regulations vary across countries. Access to medicines, I think, has two sides. If we look both from the patient perspective and also from the general population's perspective as taxpayers or insurers or policymakers, I think that we obtained a lot of progress with innovative medicines in the overall context. After all, we now have a new category of patients, also challenging the survivorship issues. Those are the patients who have the disease, but it is somehow contained, controlled. This is also one of the positive results of the new therapies, because decades ago, you had this, I call it binary option. You either survived or you died. There was no intermediary option. And now, of course, there are methods, the therapies that freeze your cancer, at least for a period of time, or slower its growth. So I think this is very important. And this is extension that is not measured in months, but rather in years. And it's very important for many reasons. Of course, the other challenge is the therapies that extend your life for a minimal period of time and cost an enormous amount of money and will still, during the process, attach you to the healthcare system a lot. So you will not gain at least temporary independence. And that's one of the big challenges today. Why would you spend enormous amounts of money on not changing the course of the disease and not improving the quality of life? Of course, there are some human situations. Some patients would like to see their daughter marry. Unfortunately, it's just planned in that period, or the birth of a grandson, or something like that. And in such cases, these interventions may be beneficial. So we are back to the same old discussion. What is the relationship of the societal preferences? Where do we invest? Where do we target? Versus certain situations where your individual preferences might go against that. But overall, I would say that we need to ensure that there is also a quicker turnover. Some of the obsolete therapies can also be pulled out. I heard a quote from Canada that in one of the provinces, they did what they call disinvestment, which means, it doesn't mean that you just lower the expenditure, but you actually replace. You withdraw drugs that are obsolete or not part of the guidelines anymore, and you introduce new ones. And although at first impression this might seem, yes, this drug costs this much and the new one costs this much, but actually they produce savings through these quick turnovers of drugs and changing protocols. So I think that we will just simply need to introduce new ways of how we manage the whole patient pathway process, in the whole span of the disease, where treatment, of course, in cancer is crucial in this attack phase.